Welcome to Maven Chronicles. I am your host, Grace Mayele. On today's show, we're talking about books. Yes, I know it may seem boring, but listen, we have to talk about books. And the reason being is because a lot of people ask me about what are some of the things or resources that you tap into or that you read, because I read a lot. I love reading, and at the same time too, I am like a sucker for information. I think it's so important if you're going to be in business or just in anything in life, you have to be savvy, and at the same time too, you have to pour into some things that are some tools that are available to you so you can learn, but at the same time to kind of spark your level of interest and also your level of intellect. Reading is something really healthy for the mind, and I think it's definitely an asset if you're going to be building a business. And the reason why I'm saying it's an asset, it's because it's always good to see what other people have done, what other successful people have done to build their brands. I'm not saying take them at face value and do everything they've done, but sometimes it's good to have an idea of what others have accomplished. So I dug up my own personal library. Honestly, I could have brought you the full-blown rack at my house, but I just wanted to be a bit selective and brought you some books that I really love, books that I personally read and reread, because I just think it's great. It's good for meditation as well. It's good meditation. When you read books, it's just, I don't know, it just kind of gives me something. So I brought a couple, and I thought it'd be interesting to also share them with you, because part of some of the books I've read are also kind of themes that we're going to be able to touch on, or that we've particularly touched on so far here on Maven Chronicles, and seeing that we're merging into a new month and new topics, some covering finances, some covering personal branding, some covering selling, marketing, whatnot. I just thought it'd be important for me to just kind of bring you some tools where you could also refer, because I know there are so many people here that may love reading and that are probably looking for great book recommendations. And if you know me, well, you know I love to recommend a good book. Aside from just recommending you a good vendor or whatnot, I like to recommend good books. And to those who don't read, this segment is for you. So please tune in and retune in to today's episode of Maven Chronicles. Alrighty guys, so let's get right into it. So one of the books I brought today is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I know for those of you who are really into the whole business entourage, this is a very popular one by Napoleon Hill. It's like the holy grave of for business entrepreneurs. It's a great book to read. A lot of people meditate on this book, have utilized its principles to build the ground foundation of their businesses. I highly recommend this book. I think it has a lot of great gems in it. So if you're looking for a good read, Think and Grow Rich is a great one. You can even catch it online as well. If you don't want to go out and buy the book, although I encourage it, you could even go online and actually Google and see the PDF. So if you're at work and you have nothing to do, stick your eyes where they belong, in a good book. Alrighty. So another book that I really like, ladies, this is a good one for you especially. It's by Marshawn Evans. This woman is like practically my virtual mentor. I love her to pieces. She's amazing. She wrote this book called Skirts in the Boardroom. Ladies, talk about power. This book is wonderful. It's just amazing. So many great gems in here, talking about how you build a brand, like really talking about branding, and at the same time too, knowing your purpose. It's really about business and life. Well, it says it here, a woman's survival guide to success in business and life. If you're gonna succeed in business, you have to succeed in life before anything. Again, purpose. You have to be purpose driven. You're gonna notice that I have a bunch of post-its and highlighters in my book. I'd love to lend you my books, but you know, you probably have to send me a message. But yeah, I just, when I read, I kind of absorb and just take notes, highlight, kind of like studying, you know. Who said you need to go to school to study? No, I didn't just say that, right? No, but really, school is everywhere. Education is ongoing. And again, feed into a good book and you'll learn a lot. This is a great book that I highly recommend. If you are a woman of power in business, or you're thriving to be an empowered woman in business, an amazing guide. I tell you that you will not regret it. Another one that I actually finished up this year is by Brian Tracy. Brian Tracy is like a sales mogul, okay? So if you don't know the name, Google him, ask about him. Anything you do. This is a great book. I really loved reading this book. The title of it is The Art of Closing the Sale. Oh, the key to making more money faster in the world, or professional selling. Now I know some of you are going to run out because it says the key to making money. Don't get fooled, okay? Well, of course, you know, learn how to make money, of course. But what I like about this book is that it's not a cliche kind of book where it tells you, oh, the 7 steps of how do you go about selling or whatnot. It just really gives you key like scenarios of how you can go about selling, and I really enjoyed it. So it's a quick read too. It's about 200 and some pages. I just thought it was all around amazingness. I reread it and reread it. There's just so many things you could do. A little trick when you're reading, at least I share my trick. I absorb a chapter per day. So if I read one chapter, I let it sit so I could simmer, and then I follow up and read the next chapter. So it's not like if I'm just kind of reading like one shot, because sometimes you don't let the material sink in. So anyways, Brian Tracy, The Art of Closing the Sale. If you are in sales, or if you have issues with negotiating or even networking, knowing how to close the deal, this is a good book. And I think it applies to anybody who always kind of has an issue with closing, or just, if you don't know what I mean by closing, it's just kind of like knowing how to pitch people properly and accordingly, and just getting what you want out of people, basically. It tells you how to go about it in a very, very proper manner. I love it. You should definitely read it. The Art of Closing the Deal, I highly, highly recommend it, and it's a thin book. So for those of you who don't like reading much, you will love reading after this one. So I'm gonna keep the other ones after the break. So we're gonna take a quick break, and I'm gonna cover a few more. So catch me in a few.
Would you like to promote a social event, a music album, or a project in the Afro-Caribbean community? Even more, you just open a new business. It could be a drugstore or a barbershop, and you would like to attract more customers. The solution is quite simple. Buy an advertising space on Malaika TV and receive a bigger visibility in all the Afro-Caribbean community in Canada. For further information, please contact us on d.finance@malaikatv.com.
Back on Maven Chronicles, and today we are talking about books. I'm giving you a quick tour in my library. No, I don't just read this. I've read them all, but there's more I would love to share with you. But today I'm just covering some of the top books on my shelf, the hot ticket in town. Okay, so before the break, I covered a few. So this is the book I'm actually currently reading right now. I like it. So it's by Donald Trump and Robert Kiyosaki. If you don't know Donald Trump, I don't know what to tell you. And Robert Kiyosaki, he's just an amazing all-around entrepreneur. If you're an entrepreneur, you've heard about him several times. He's the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which is also a great book. I don't have it here on my shelf, but it's also a great book, and you can catch it online. But anyhow, this book here is Why We Want You to Be Rich. 2 Men, 1 Message. I like this book. I actually started reading it maybe like about a few weeks ago, and it's a really good book. So basically, the chapter I'm reading right now is really talking about the perception of the current middle class, and it's kind of foreshadowing what's currently going on in the economy. But anyways, great perceptions, great key elements here, and I just think it's amazing how 2 successful men came together to write this book, and they also talk about their success story in here. And I think it's always interesting to see how authors come intertwine and really tell the story. I think the best way to connect with anybody in business or just in all around whatever career is to hear their story. I think it makes a difference when you know about where they've been and where they are and why they're there. I think that's what makes you kind of respect them even more, because you have to respect people's grind. You really do. But if you don't know what they've done, then how are you going to respect their grind, right? But anyhow, this is a great book. I actually recommend it. Like I said, I'm not done. I'm currently reading it right now. So I just thought I'd bring it so you know what I'm currently up to. So Why We Want You to Be Rich. I want to be rich, okay? I'm rich in spirit, but you know, the money in the pockets would be great. I'm sure you guys can agree. Another great one on selling is by Ziglar. If you are, again, this is a big name in business. Zig Ziglar is amazing. He's just a great, an all-around inspirational man. So this is basically another great book. It's called Ziglar on Selling. It's another great selling book as well. I put it right beside Brian Tracy's book. I think it's just amazing. Great principles in here. And I like books that give you concrete scenarios, not just like, again, 1 steps to selling. Oh, you do this or you do that. It's not cliche. It's really authentic, and it's something that you could really apply and implement. And most importantly, I like books that keep me accountable. Like, you know, when you go at the end of a paragraph and it leaves you with a reflection and kind of like a to-do list, I think those things are good for you in business. So another great book that I recommend. So Ziegler on Selling, the Ultimate Handbook for the Complete Sales Professional. So if you are a sales professional, you need to have this in your library. I highly recommend it. I read it and I reread it here in times when it applies to specific scenarios that I find myself in. So great resource to have. Another one, I got two other ones. So my ladies, another great one, Smart Women Finish Rich by David Batch. I love this book, okay? This book is probably one of my favorites, alongside everything else. If you're gonna read anything, ladies, read this book. It really positions us and the perception that we have towards our finances. I think the title says it all, Smart Women Finish Rich. If you really wanna find out what it's about, go get yourself a copy. It's really worth everything. It's just an amazing series. David Batch has an amazing series of books. So if you're not familiar with his writings, I highly suggest that you Google him as well. He has great books on great fundamentals as far as finances are concerned. So I really recommend this. I think everybody should have a copy of this book. If you're a woman, you need this book on your shelf. If you're a gentleman, you also need to read books by David Batch. I have a few more gems to go. I think we'll take a break. He wrote Millionaire, that's his first book, and Get Real, Get Rich is just another one. And trust me, it's, again, no gimmicks, no cliche. It's just a great story all around. I highly suggest it to all of you. If you're a gentleman and you need a little boost, read. You read. Sometimes you need to read to open up your mind, and sometimes you just need to read, okay? So get this book, it's amazing. And again, if you know me, I'm a big sucker for dummy books. I love dummy books. Not because I think I'm a dummy. I'm far from a dummy. But the dummy books are just so practical. I love them. So this is one on managing. I think I have a great series at home, but I brought managing because managing is something that's just ongoing. When you're building a business or starting something, even when you're working for a firm, you have to know key components of what management is. You know what I mean? If you are being managed by somebody, I think you should have an idea of how you want to be led and what leadership is all about. So this is definitely some core fundamentals, and I think this is such a great book. And what I like about the dummy books is because they always come with some goody stuff. You know, I don't know about you, but I love freebies. I love freebies. When I get free CDs with like stuff that I could utilize, I want that. But anyways, I'm a big fan of the dummy series. They just all around have everything that I need, and it really takes you step by step, and there's so many practical things that you can apply in your life. So if you're into management or if you're managing, I recommend it. Just anything as far as dummies. You know, they have dummies for investors, dummies for PRs. Just go buy dummy books. They're just great. And the thing about it too is you could just go into you could just go at the beginning and read, just look at the outline, the synopsis of each chapters, and whatever you find applies to you, you could just kind of identify. So great stuff to have. And last but not least, he's gonna smile when he sees this. You may recognize this book. This book is by one of our hosts, Lucas Saint-Fleur. So if you guys have been watching his show, Lucas Light, or if you guys haven't been watching his show, go watch it. It's on mylikatv.com. And this is a book he wrote a few years ago. If you guys don't know much about him, he's a poet. He's a local, I call him a local vivid activist. He's amazing. He's a great friend of mine. So I thought I'd bring you this and encourage you to go buy his book. Go buy his book that he wrote a few years ago, and go buy the book that he's currently writing as well. You're writing a book, right? But anyhow, it says I Want War, and it's just great gems. He's just different poems that he wrote in here, different emotions, and if you know him, he's just full of joy, full of spirit. So I thought I'd bring this as well. That's him right here. So watch him, Lucas Light. And go buy his book. Support your local talent, okay? So that's it for me, and that's it for us. So thank you for tuning in. And my Maven wisdom today is that you take the time for yourself to read, observe and absorb. It's so important. If you don't take time to read, I encourage you to do so, whether you're in business, whether you're in school or whatnot. It's not a boring activity. It's something that's empowering, and it's something that will help you along the way. And like I said, if you want to know how others get from point A to point Z, find out about it.
This show is brought to you by our official sponsor. For more information, visit